Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Hope, and I'm Chief of Staff at Kudoboard. I work with many of our customers to roll out employee recognition and engagement programs, and I also own employee engagement internally at Kudoboard. So I'm really excited to share with you some of the things that we've been doing and best practices that we've learned with all of you attending today. I'm joined by this lovely panel here, and I'll hand it over to them to introduce themselves, starting with Amy.
Thank you, Hope. So hey everyone, I'm Amy. I am the support manager here at Kudoboard. I'm here to help with all general Kudoboard questions. So that could be how-tos, technical issues, but I also encourage you to send feedback or feature ideas our way as well. We really like to hear directly from our customers and their experiences. So my team can be reached at help@kudoboard.com. And if you've ever liked to chat with me directly, feel free to include that in your email to help, and my coworkers will forward your message my way. Pass it off to you. Julio is next, correct?
Yes. Hey everyone, my name is Julio Gonzalez. I'm a customer success manager here at Kudoboard. So I help our Pro plan and Enterprise customers get the most out of their plan. If you're ever curious to learn more about our Pro or Enterprise plans, you can reach out to myself and Delana at success@kudoboard.com or schedule a demo with us. I put the link in the chat for that, and I'm in Minneapolis. Yeah, and off to you.
Thanks, Julio. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for spending time with us this Wednesday morning. I am Galena. I also work with organizations in a similar way that Julio mentioned. I'm in Washington State and got my warm beverage going on. So let's continue this thing. Hope.
All right. As we mentioned, this webinar is being recorded and the recording will be shared with all attendees afterwards. So you will get to watch this again and again, have some popcorn this weekend and watch it whenever you want. Or if you have to leave early, the session will be sent to you. But if you do stay all the way till the end of the session, we will be choosing 3 lucky attendees who stay till the end of the hour to win a gift card. So stay till the end for your chance to win that. And we're doing something a little bit new for this webinar for anyone who had been in a Kudoboard webinar before. We will be sharing a link to a gratitude Kudoboard. It's going to be one of the things we're talking about in this session today. So we'll share a link that you can interact with and you can add your post talking about what you're grateful for as we head into the end of the year. Anyone who posts on that board before the end of the week will be entered to win a $75 gift card. So 2 chances to win. Stay till the end to get the link to that board and to be entered into that initial drawing. All right, a little about Kudoboard. So Kudoboard's mission is to spread gratitude and appreciation across the workplace. With our millions of customers, we have a lot of insight into employee sentiment in the workplace, and we'll be sharing some of that with all of you today, as well as talking about some ways that you can use our platform to increase employee happiness and engagement at work. So quick peek at the agenda for today's webinar. We'll start with a brief overview. We're doing that right now, so we're already well into it. We'll talk a little bit about how employees are feeling at work and why it matters to your organization. From there, we'll talk about the components of meaningful recognition at work, examples of effective recognition year-round and during the holiday season, and close with some key takeaways. You know, there's no better time than this season of gratitude, the end of year, to start thinking about employee recognition and appreciation at work. So this is the perfect time to dive into this topic. So before we get started, I'd like to take a moment. I'd like you to take a moment and think about the last time that you were happy at work, not just feeling like content because you had a productive day, but truly happy. Like, what was the situation? What was going on that day? And be honest, is it taking you a while to think of an example? Or even if a specific day came to mind right away, how often does that happen for you? You know, feeling happy at work is good for both your work life and your personal life. Most of us spend the majority of our day at work. If you're not happy there, then what are the odds that you're happy when 5 p.m. rolls around? In fact, we spend 90,000 hours at work during our lifetime. So if you're not feeling happy or engaged at work, you're spending a lot of time unhappy. And the bad news is research shows that actually most of your employees fall into that bucket. They are not feeling happy or engaged at work. This has real consequences for business, lower productivity, higher turnover, but it also has real impacts on the individuals that work for you and mental and physical health impacts. But there's also good news. There's ways you can turn this around and help increase engagement and happiness at the workplace. But let's dive into the research a little bit here. So earlier this year, we released our report, 2024 Employee Happiness Trends in the US. We'll drop a link in the chat for anyone who didn't see that report, but I'm going to go over some high-level results right now. But what we found was 2023 saw a pretty steep decline in employee happiness across the US. Employee happiness levels dropped about 9% across all industries, and that was a rate faster than the previous 3 years, so even faster than some of those pandemic years. And unsurprisingly, there's also rampant stress and fatigue and burnout throughout the US. 57% of American workers state they're experiencing at least moderate levels of burnout, which is up from 52% in previous years. And remote and distributed workforces present kind of unique challenges around happiness and burnout at work. Even if we work in an office, most of us work with folks in other office locations as well. We're a distributed team here at Kudoboard. All 4 of us panelists here are all in different locations. And when we asked our users about their 3 biggest challenges with working remote or hybrid or distributed, a vast majority, 78%, said the biggest challenge is a sense of belonging. So there is a real issue that we have to address here. And without that ability to easily connect with peers, celebrate events, recognize hard work, people begin to feel disconnected and disengaged from the workplace. And at the same time that all this is going on, the Surgeon General of the US issued a warning that we have a loneliness epidemic in our country, and that lack of social connection causes real physical and mental health impacts on people in the United States. And when I say loneliness, I'm not talking about just physical isolation. So this is not something I'm just talking about remote employees who are alone in their house. Loneliness is that feeling that no one in the past couple days, weeks, or even years has spoken to you in a way that made you feel like they genuinely cared about you, made you feel seen. And I think we've all experienced that feeling of being in a crowded room, but still feeling lonely because we weren't feel connected to or seen by the people around us. And I hate to break it to you, but research shows that this is how your employees are feeling at work. A 2024 report by Gallup found that globally, 1 in 5 employees report experiencing loneliness a lot of the previous day. That percentage is even higher for employees who are under 35. So this is a big problem for your Gen Z and millennial workforce. And to be expected, it's also higher among remote employees. And all this employee unhappiness and loneliness, it leads to disengagement. We're seeing a large percentage of the workforce, more than half, who report not being engaged at work. According to Gallup again here, in the US and Canada, only 33% of employees report being engaged at work. 1/3 report being engaged at work. This is the slide that you're going to want to screenshot for your next budget meeting with your boss. So 51% of employees report not being engaged at work, and 16% are actively disengaged. So yes, that is significantly more than half of your workforce is reporting not being engaged. Those actively disengaged employees, they might be easier to spot because they might be looking for other jobs or only doing the bare minimum. But the employees who are not engaged are likely not drawing a lot of attention to themselves, either for poor performance, but also not exceptional performance. You know, they show up, they strive for average, but they're not really motivating others to succeed or pushing people around them. So I want you to think about that for a moment. How much do you think disengagement is costing your company? How much does it cost you if 1 employee is not engaged? What's that fully burdened cost, from the cost of recruiting them, onboarding them, resources when they're there, absenteeism if they're not showing up a lot, and then ultimately the replacement cost? Now, how much does it cost you if 51% of your employees are not engaged? Like, what is that fully burdened cost to the organization? And I say this because increasing employee engagement and employee happiness is not just this touchy-feely thing that only HR should care about. It has real business implications for your organization, and it's worth investing in 2025. And here's another slide you're going to want to screenshot, so I'll tee it up for you here. Get those screenshot fingers ready. The business impacts of employee engagement are real and substantial. So Gallup found that organizations that increased employee engagement saw a massive increase in positive outcomes kind of across the organization, from profitability to productivity to also customer loyalty and satisfaction. and decreases in a lot of negative outcomes like absenteeism, turnover, even patient safety incidents in healthcare settings, which is huge. So what can you do at your organization? So if you see this, how can you get these positive impacts to come through at your organization? And I think we all know that lack of engagement in the workplace is not new. You know, companies have always struggled to engage their employees. The question is how to actually do so effectively. And what I can guarantee won't work is what a lot of companies have done in the past, which is ignoring it, or telling your employees to just like stop being so bummed out all the time. It doesn't work. Or the other standard response that companies love to try is a one-time celebration that they think will cover them for the whole year. So it's Employee Appreciation Day. Let's order pizza for everybody. You know, these one-off moments might give a slight boost to the team for one afternoon, but they're not going to make a lasting impact on your company's culture or overall engagement. And they're really going to bum out the pizza or the people who have dietary restrictions who are left out in the corner. It's also might bum out the pizza when people aren't feeling too happy either. And the other thing that companies love to try is giving out transactional points to people, and like they're a 5-year-old at Chuck E. Cheese. Like you get 5 points for being happy today and 5 points for contributing here. But the research shows that those don't actually do much to improve employee engagement. And what the research shows is the secret to actually increasing happiness and engagement lies in the power of connection and appreciation to build bonds and culture for employees. So this works for remote employees, in-person, distributed, whatever your organization setup might be. So according to our research, 91% of employees believe that most companies undervalue the effects of employee gratitude, and 98%, that's almost everybody, agree they would work harder and be happier if they felt more appreciated at work. 98%, that includes all those disengaged people, are saying they would be happier and work harder if they were more appreciated. So this is a really simple thing that you can start doing to help people feel more engaged at work. But okay, seems easy, give everyone a pat on the back, right? But what does this actually mean in practice, right? How do you actually implement this? So there's a few components that we've seen that show to establish meaningful recognition and engagement in the workplace. So it needs to be consistent, authentic, and exist at all levels of the organization. So let's start with consistency. So this is the problem with the pizza party, right? We don't start to see the benefits of appreciation until it's given regularly and reliably. Trust takes time to build, and consistent recognition fuels that development. Authenticity, so recognition needs to be timely, specific, and personalized. The personalization part is really important here because insincere appreciation can do more harm than good. Do you remember what I was saying about loneliness, that it's that feeling that people don't actually see you for who you are? If you're getting insincere appreciation, that can feed that feeling. If you already have that growing in you and you're just not getting recognized for who you actually are, you're only going to feel more lonely. And then across the organization. So engagement and recognition needs to be happening at all levels of the organization. Research has shown that when managers are more engaged at work, non-managers are too. So there's pretty big ripple effects for engagement and appreciation. So if you can get managers feeling more recognized and engaged at work, then they can help support the entire organization and lift everyone up. So effective recognition requires a whole ecosystem. You know, but those three things, there's a lot of different pillars that support that. And as I go through these, I'd really encourage everyone watching to think about what your organization currently does well and what you can improve on in 2025. So first of all, ad hoc recognition. Are you recognizing people as in the moment when they do good things or when they complete projects? Routine shout outs. Are you creating a place such as, you know, during a weekly department meeting that you're opening the floor up to shout outs between peers and from managers? Peer-to-peer recognition. Do you have a place or do you have a system in place where peers can give each other shout outs for the work that they're doing? Raises, bonuses, and promotions, right? Like appreciation is great, but there also needs to be a little bit of heft behind it. People need to feel like they're getting recognized, but they're also seeing their careers developed thanks to this recognition. Cultural events. So are you celebrating things like upcoming holidays? We're going to talk about some examples of how that works in a few minutes. Are you celebrating company holidays like company anniversaries? Are you celebrating when you're hitting a goal as a team? Are you doing these celebrations to kind of keep people happy and engaged throughout the year? And last of all, employee milestones. So are you celebrating individual employees on their work anniversaries, promotions? Are you helping people feel recognized for those big milestones in their working environment? So we would love to hear in the chat or in the Q&A, you know, what does your org do well and what do you think you can improve on? Because I think a lot of us can think about a couple different things here. But now we're going to see some examples of what these different pillars look like in practice, and I'm going to hand it off to my colleague Amy to dive into some examples.
Thank you, Hope. So let me go ahead and take over the screen here. All right. All right, and this up. All right, so hi everyone, Amy again. So Hope proposed an issue and also proposed a solution, but I'd like to highlight how you can implement that solution using specifically Kudoboard. So although we believe in recognition and engagement year-round, the holiday season is a perfect time to highlight giving thanks, express gratitude within your organization. You want to take this time of year to create and solidify a habit of appreciation so that your organization can carry that through the rest of the year as well. So why take advantage of this time of year? Why take advantage of Kudoboard this time of year? Well, I have a few things here for you, and a lot of these you'll notice tie back into everything that Hope has discussed. So my first bullet here is reducing loneliness. So we might forget that around the holiday season, it's not always a cheerful time for everybody. You don't know what your employees or your coworkers' situations are, but Kudoboard can help provide employees with validation that they're seen, they're not alone, that they belong within the organization, and that it's essential for the organization's success that they're here. My second point here, improving peer-to-peer connections. We talk about this a lot. It's really important to have an ongoing positive relationship with your peers. I'm sure many of you can agree with that. And around the holiday season, it can be fun to explore different backgrounds of your employees, learn their traditions, learn more about what they do and what they celebrate around this time of year. And Kudoboard is the perfect medium for this type of share. Combating turnover and burnout. Again, you yourself might get some extra time off around the holidays. I know I myself do, and I feel very lucky that I do, but not every single field allows for this. In some fields, I often think of healthcare, like perhaps around the holiday season, they might be taking on extra shifts, working overtime, working weekends away from their family. So, you know, in that sense, using Kudoboard to give your team and your employees the ability to give and receive recognition can build peer-to-peer relationships and be a huge mood booster and remind people why they do what they do, why it's important, and why they matter. And my final point here, shifting mindsets towards positivity. So having a positive outlook both in and out of the workplace can really improve your overall well-being. Again, I'm sure all of you can agree, you know, it's really good to have that work-life balance and have a positive outlook in both places. And receiving sincere appreciation as well as engaging in meaningful connections with your peers is a huge part of that. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. I know everybody loves board examples, and I have so many to show you. You can see all my tabs up here. So we'll go through these. I will have 3 sections, and each of those sections will have a few examples under each. I did provide the board links in the slide, so you don't have to worry about screenshotting, but you're welcome to screenshot this slide once it's completely filled out if you'd like. But those slides will be sent after the webinar so that you can access and look at these boards for inspiration after the webinar as well. And just one other thing I want to point out is that a lot of these boards fall under our engagement and culture board type, and they are intended for exactly that. And you'll see why in just a minute. So we'll get started here. My first section is empower employees to share and build relationships with a recipe or holiday board. So I'll jump right into the examples. Let's take a look. So first one here, recipe board. We love these at Kudoboard. We see a handful of them every holiday season. We created one of our own. And this just allows everybody to come together, get to know each other, spark up a conversation about what they typically like to make during the holiday season. They can tell stories about these recipes. It might lead to shared experiences and help employees feel connected and like their peers are interested in who they are as a person and not necessarily just the work that they do. And I also would like to highlight again our printing feature. So you can print our boards as physical books, as many of you probably know, as many of you probably already have done. But for this recipe board especially, I think it's a great idea to collect these recipes and then print it and gift it to your employees as a holiday gift or maybe a New Year's gift. And that way they can have that physical book that they created with their peers to take home. And Galena, I see your hand is raised.
Is it? My bad. Well, but I do want to acknowledge one question. So sorry to interrupt you, Amy, but someone asked, how can you prevent one of these boards? Like if people do want to create one of these boards, but they don't want everyone to see it at once, like say it is a gratitude board, how do you only allow a certain audience to see it before like the recipients actually see it?
Sure. So if you're talking about a board that's being delivered to a particular, or sorry, specific recipient, we do have those special occasion board types that allow for private post on Business Pro and Enterprise plans. And that private post option will allow you as the creator to control what posts are private and public, as well as for those who are posting to decide if they want their post private or public. And then that can be changed later on if you'd like. And then for these engagement and culture boards, we also have a hide post feature. So if you want everything to be a surprise and then like reveal the whole board at an event, which we've seen quite often, you can do that as the board creator. You can have those posts blocked until the board's complete and then unhide the posts once you'd like everybody to see it. Sweet. Thanks, Galena. It was a good question to interrupt for. All right, and so now I'll just hop over into some of these holiday cheer and tradition boards. So this one here is just everyone coming to the board, sharing a holiday greeting with their peers. Very simple, but very effective. And this second one is specific to holiday traditions, which I did mention in my little introduction here about these board types. I personally love these boards. I think it's really fun to read about what everybody's tradition is. And I think as well that when you're reading through these, you yourself might be like, huh, I want to try that with my family or my friends or whoever you spend time with during the holiday season. So you might, read all these traditions that your coworkers have and walk away with one or two new ones of your own. Okay, jumping into our second section here, elevating colleagues, volunteers, vendors, customers. So think internal and external gratitude. Our first one here is an internal appreciation board where employees can leave notes of gratitude and shout outs to individuals on the support team here. So close to my heart. And it looks like there are support members shouting out other support members as well, which is great. You always want to encourage and appreciate those that you work with directly on the day-to-day. The second one is a little different, where this is a Girl Scout troop that actually created this board to thank their volunteers who are giving up, their time free of charge to come and help out the Girl Scouts and make their program happen. And I wanted to highlight this board because I just wanted to say that appreciation doesn't have to be just within your own team or organization. You want it there as well, but also don't be afraid to spread it. Spread it elsewhere to your customers, your vendors, your clients, whoever it is that you interact with that might not be just your peers. And in this way, I know Galena likes to call it the butterfly effect or mention the butterfly effect. You're spreading it from within your organization to other people who then might take it to their workplace and so on and so on and so on. And of course, I want to show you one final gratitude board here. We practice what we preach at Kudoboard. We created this gratitude, our designer who created this board, Ryan, labeled it the gratitude hot seat. And we all came to the board and just wrote down what we were thankful for about working at Kudoboard. And I wanted to showcase this board because my teammates have put a lot of thought into their responses, and I thought responses were very sweet. But also I found that some of the things I was grateful for here at Kudoboard, they were too. So that helped me really feel connected to Galena, Hope, Julio, and the rest of my team. All right, so we'll jump into our final section here, enhancing well-being and reducing, again, that mention of loneliness with, for example, a New Year's resolution board or a goal board of some kind. And let me show you what I mean. This first board is from 2023, but we're bringing it back because I love this board so much and the idea around this board. So here, this organization found all the runners that work at their company and brought them together to hold them accountable for their goals, their running goals in 2023. So, they they show pictures of their shoes, they list their personal best, they're taking photos of those that they're running with and just sharing it on this board here. And I think this is a great way to find peers in your organization that you share interests with and come together and directly share that interest with them and help each other, with your goals or just learning more about your hobbies. And so another example, again, here at Kudoboard, we have a KB book recommendations board. I love this board. We created this to find all the readers in our organization and encourage them to explore different genres throughout the year, maybe read a book that you saw it on the shelf, but you weren't sure it was going to be good for you. But then you see that your coworker posted on the board. You're like, okay, well, now I have to read it. And we included links to the boards and a little synopsis of, links to the books and a synopsis about what those books are about. And just one thing that I want to mention that we did here at Kudoboard, if you're on a pro or enterprise plan, we'll throw that demo link in the chat again in case you're interested in a feature such as Slack and Teams integration. So we're integrated with Slack here at Kudoboard. So what we did is we have a currently reading channel. We pinned this board to the channel. And now when somebody posts on the board, we actually get real-time notifications that there's been a new post on our book board. And then we can, continue the discussion in the Slack channel if we'd like. But it's really great to get those real-time notifications for things like this, or maybe a shout out board. And again, if you're interested in that, the demo link is in the chat for you. And while you've been looking at these boards, feel free in the chat, let us know, take a moment. Are there any hobbies or goal or New Year's resolution boards that you think might do well at your organization? What do you think? Galena, let me know if we have any good ones. All right. While she's looking around, she can raise her hand again. I have one last slide here. Did you have one, Galena?
No, but I do have another question, Amy, and I think this one is, really imperative and a great question. I can answer a piece of it too, but I want to pose it to all of us. It's to ensure everyone, say you did create a gratitude board, are there any recommendations that we have to encourage everyone to give shout outs to as many people as they can? What if only a few people are the ones receiving those gratitude shout outs? How do you help diversify who receives them? So I guess I said I have a little bit of an answer for that. I think one piece of this, from my perspective, my recommendation would be not only to recognize the people who get shouted out, who are tagged on the boards in the posts, but also to recognize the people who give shout outs. So that's one way already to create some difference in who you are giving credit to. You want to empower your culture champions, who are not only the people, again, getting shouted out, but the ones promoting that healthy culture. So anyone else have any ideas there?
I don't have anything else there, but I think what you just said is a great answer to that question. All right, cool. Keep the questions coming, please. So my one last slide here before I do pass it off to Galena. I want to remind everybody of our solo boards and gift cards, and I'll pause for a moment and say that I'm fighting the sun right now with my blindless window, as Galena is too. So apologies for the slight glare at the bottom of the screen. But yes, so I'd like to remind you all of solo boards and gift cards. So you can use these hand in hand during the holiday season to spread some extra cheer. These boards are perfect for one-to-one or one-to-many appreciation. They allow for just one post, that post from the creator, but they can be really especially meaningful when they're used thoughtfully. And as an example, so say you're in management and you want to send a note to each of your team members separately. You might take the time to customize the note a little bit for each team member. And then you want to attach a little gift that they can use to buy themselves something, treat themselves for the holiday season. So a solo board and our gift cards would be a great option for that. And let me show you what that would look like. So I have mine here. So this is what the intro animation would look like for the recipient. I wanted to show that as well. And we have some great new board animation, intro animations that those snowflakes is, the snowflakes are one of the new ones there. So this is a solo board where Claire here from the management team is thanking Sandra, also wishing Sandra happy holidays. Really, really sweet message. The message is customized a little bit to Sandra and her likes. And then Claire went ahead and added a nice $50 gift card to that solo board. So this is an example of what that might look like. And just to give you a few additional ideas of how you could use these features is peer-to-peer random acts of kindness. So maybe you want to encourage your team to send solo boards to each other. That's a meaningful way to encourage your team to engage with each other. And if it's allowed, you could also let them add a little bit of a gift card to those solo boards as well to send to each other. Another one here is some companies, their CEO might do an end of year video or end of year message. So maybe you want to encourage your CEO to record using Kudoboard on a solo board and then use Kudoboard to distribute that message to your employees. And last one here, this might not be a solo board use case, but I did want to point it out for the gift card feature. So perhaps you have a gratitude board or a holiday board of some kind, and you want to collect donations on it so that once those donations are collected, your team can actually agree on a charity to donate those funds to. And a couple of nice things about our gifting feature. For starters, we've now enabled you to gift in 5 different currencies, so 4 additional ones on top of USD. I'll let you take a moment to look at those. And those charity options that I mentioned, if you were to receive a gift card or redeem a gift card, here's what it would look like. This is a mock-up. That's why there's this filler text. We go ahead and click redeem. You can click your region from the top here. And you'll notice that, in the United States, there's this virtual Visa option. There's a bunch of store gift cards, 144 plus. But we also see this charity donation. So here's where if you had that gratitude board, you collect funds, then you go to your team and you collectively say, hey, where do we want to donate these funds to? And we encourage that because at Kudoboard, we've fully believe and have seen that giving can feel just as good as receiving. So we always encourage you to encourage your team members to do both. All right, so I've given you insight into why you should encourage peer-to-peer recognition and engagement, especially around the holiday season, and how you can do that with Kudoboard specifically. But now I'd like to pass it off to Galena, who's going to dive into how to make these boards successful, really drive engagement, and how to do so whether you're in person, remote, or hybrid. Off to you, Galena.
Okay, awesome. That really nice length pause there. Hello, everyone. So as Amy mentioned, throughout her whole portion of this webinar, of this discussion today, she has been providing a lot of great examples of boards that you can create, that we've seen customers create, that we've created ourselves in our internal Kudoboard team. I'm sure that you have ideas that you're already ruminating on yourselves, or that something here you can pick apart and really, your organization's best. So what from what we're sharing will work best with your teams. So at this point in the presentation, you may be feeling a bit like this person. She is smiling. She has a clipboard. You can do anything with a clipboard. She has a bunch of ideas. She is ready to execute on these ideas. She understands it's the end of the year, and there's so much that you can do to bring your teams together at the end of the year. And she is raring to go. And Amy, can I help you?
Yes. Can anybody else see Galena's screen?
Oh!
Wait, I could see it.
I could see
Can
it.
you see
Oh,
it? I couldn't see it. That was weird. Now I can see
well,
it.
I hope you can see this person because she is raring to go. And if you can't imagine a person who is, you know, tools in her tool belt, she knows what she wants to accomplish, and has a plan on how to accomplish this engagement event within her organization. However, I will ask you all to reflect about a time in your own experience where maybe you have felt like this person, where you have known what you're going to do to bring people together. Maybe you're planning an end of year holiday event. Maybe you are doing a white elephant gift exchange or something like that. But and as much time and energy as you put into planning all of this, by the time the event actually rolls around, maybe there's a little bit of this involved. Maybe not as many people show up as you would have hoped. Maybe you know, it's a virtual thing and there you are, the host in the Zoom room alone, just you and you know, you can see yourself on the screen. It just makes things worse. So I mention this type of circumstance because you know, it's great to have ideas, but we also need to build into our tool belt even more ideas on how we can actually create engagement for these events. So yes, the board ideas are incredible, but how are we going to drive our employees to actually utilize those boards? Is it the theme, the fun theme all on its own? Are there other things that we can do to really help employees engage with one another and connect with one another? So I want to get into that part of this conversation. And I want to get specifically into how you can use systems that you probably already have access to within your organizations to accomplish more engagement, like your intranets. So yeah, very exciting conversation here, intranets. So in the chat, if you would, please share if you are a regular user of your organization's intranet. Do you log in through the same place every day? Do you look for internal jobs or maybe a style guide? Yes. Okay. Anyone have like, no, we're a small nonprofit, so we don't have one. All right. Well, that's fair. Oh, we are considering Notion. Great. We also use Notion. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. So, you know, whether you have an intranet specifically like built for your internal space, or maybe you use SharePoint through Microsoft, or maybe you don't have like a dedicated intranet at all. Maybe you still have, though, like a document that has primary resources that your organization can utilize, like the link to the HR system where you can see how much you get paid or something like that. So I bring this conversation up just to highlight how there has to be some uniformity in how organizations come together. There has to be some sort of place where you go to find your organization's truth. And that oftentimes is the intranet. So what better place to engage Kudoboard users than the intranet? Let's get into a specific example that'll help bring this like kind of web discussion into more concrete visual stories. So again, I said that we would be focusing on, well, I don't know if I said, but here we are in SharePoint. And SharePoint, again, is an intranet we see lots of our customers utilize to help engage their employees in all sorts of ways, but specifically to help them drive usage on their Kudoboards. So this is a Where's Waldo moment here, but I'm going to leave this screen up. Is there any space on this screen that you all see that we like that is relevant to today's discussion? Is there any piece of this screen that you see that you recognize from maybe something Amy shared already? This is a test. Yes. All right. I'm waiting for any maybe recipe board that Amy shared from earlier. Okay. Yes. So I start here. just to showcase how easy it is to use Kudoboard features to simply link out to a board that has already been created, just to drive another touch point to that initiative. So imagine people are logging into the intranet every day and through this page to access other resources that they utilize on a daily basis. So they're constantly logging in here. What if it's as simple as adding the link to your Kudoboard in your intranet? Boom, more engagement. Also, another tip here is to add, and you're going to want to listen to this because I can get carried away, but this is an important one. For all Kudoboards, please include a timeline for when people can no longer post. A sense of urgency with your Kudoboards will help drive more engagement on them. People know when they won't, have an opportunity to post anymore, they'll feel more pressure to post sooner. So let's dive into another example. And this one is a bit more in depth. So here we see a specific landing page that was designed for a company initiative. And on this landing page, we have context into the event itself. We have that clear call to action that you can post on your board once you have volunteered, which is related to this specific initiative. You also see what we just spoke about, that clear marker of a timeline for when posts are no longer going to be accepted. I also want to call out here the importance or the benefit of using the posts from the board itself as marketing material. So when you are trying to push out Kudoboard to help people feel excited enough to engage with it, it's really helpful to include posts that have already been added to a board and show those to your employees. So just as much as people want to engage in the initiative itself, they also want to see who Rudolph is. And Rudolph is Tim. So as a reminder, these are as much, and I know we've talked about it today, but these are social events as well. They're cultural events. They're opportunities for connection. So allowing people to get to know one another through these posts can be super helpful in driving that adoption or engagement. So let's keep scrolling down. This is a bottomless intranet page here. I want to call out two things here. One is this little tidbit here. So in your intranet, you can also start to engage different levels of your organization specifically. So looping back to what Hope mentioned earlier, meaningful recognition has to exist at all levels of your organization. So maybe you start calling specific people in your organization, calling them forward. They volunteer as tribute to take on some more of the responsibility in order to make that culture more cohesive, that culture of appreciation more cohesive. So all of this is to say, managers maybe for this specific initiative, maybe you give them the push to hyperlink the board link in their email outro so that every email they send to their internal team says, oh, I'm going to go to that board. I see a reminder to go to that board and interact with it. Okay. Another piece of that same conversation here is these larger cultural events. So like the recipe board, like the this volunteer board, like the board recommendations, gratitude, all of these events, they can really help drive engagement on the smaller scale boards as well. So like work anniversaries, birthdays. So something that you can do in your intranets is to link your Kudoboard site overall. So if you are on a business or pro or enterprise plan even, which we'll put the link in the demo for that, in the chat for that. Thank you. So if you are on one of those plans, you can really help your employees connect how they can use Kudoboard when you are facilitating one of these larger events. They see the connection. Oh, this is Kudoboard. Oh, here's our organization's site. Oh, I can use this to celebrate. Oh, I can create my own boards when my colleague is out sick or etc. So plug that into your tool belt as well. All right, we are moving right along here. A couple more intranet shares before we go into this next piece. But here is an example of an embedded board as well. So Kudoboard allows you to embed a board in your intranet. So again, this is a little taste test of what the whole, what it's like to interact with Kudoboard. And you get to put that right in your site so that people don't have to navigate out in order to be intrigued. You get to build that intrigue right into your intranet. Okay. Let's proceed here. Going back to this page, so the last share I want to make a shout out to is this weekly manager tips area. So oftentimes, okay. So briefly, I want to get into this weekly manager tips area. I don't know about all of you. If you have any space in your regular way of working where you share recommendations with managers about how they can interact with their teams to build better team rapport. Oftentimes our customers have use their intranets to include these managerial tips, and they showcase how you can use Kudoboard in order to create that connection. So on this specific board, for example, a manager adds a new post every day for the last week of the year, and people are able to post on this board. Just a quick little manager tip, but is helpful to share that out. Again, spread responsibility of who owns appreciation, aka everybody does, reminder. Anywho, let's proceed because I want to get into the last piece as well. And Amy already spoke to it earlier, but I'm going to plug it again here. Something that's very helpful in driving more interaction with your boards is to integrate on that pro or enterprise plan, which you can find out more about. I know we've posted the link a bunch of times, but we're going to do that again. On Pro and Enterprise plans, another communication channel that that is probably existing within your organization is Slack or Teams. And you can utilize one of these channels to receive real-time notifications about what's going on within your boards. So, again, just helpful in helping people use the channels that they already sit in on a day-to-day basis to engage with initiatives, baking it into your world. So with all of that being said, Julio, I would love to get into your portion of this conversation. How else can people engage employees throughout the rest of the year?
Thanks, Kelena. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you all can see it. Can you see my screen? Great. So I'm going to chat a bit about how everyone here can use Kudoboard to celebrate colleagues throughout their year using our automations and bold creation features, which are available on our Pro and Enterprise plans. So for many of you all who haven't used it, please do follow along. I'd love to, if you already are a customer, go ahead and pull up your admin panel and maybe we can go through this together. How many of you all here have been in a situation where an employee birthday or work anniversary wasn't celebrated because of an oversight, or maybe someone was on vacation, or maybe work that week was just really busy and it got lost in the shuffle? When we were speaking to our customers, we heard lots of stories like these, and that's a big part of why we launched our automations feature earlier this year to ensure no employee is left behind and to ultimately save you all time. So we're going to go ahead now, move forward. Ooh, sorry, y'all. Another feature that's also available here is our bulk creations feature, which allows you all to create boards for a large number of boards for different occasions. So let's say, for example, that you want to create, individual holiday cards for all employees. This feature will help you all save time and create as many boards as you want. Or let's say, you're doing something like end of the year awards or quarterly promotions. This feature is really designed to help you all save time as well. And for those ad hoc large scale celebrations, you can use this to celebrate your teammates. So I'm going to share my second screen here so you all can see how this looks like in action. Can you see my screen? Great, wonderful. So for those of you who are already Pro Enterprise customers, and if you want to pull up your admin panel, please do feel free. Of course, like you'll see admin panel on here, and you'll see the automations page right here. So this is designed to automatically create boards for birthdays and work anniversaries, two very important milestones for your employees, and to automatically create them a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks before that employee's birthday or work anniversary. As you can see on here, you can segment anniversaries if you do only want to celebrate specific ones. So you can do, of course, like all of them, or you can do 1, 5, 10s, whatever is important to you and your organization. On here, the nice thing I would say about segmenting these for specific years is that you can get a little more specific when building out these boards that will be automatically created. So when you are on the automations page here, you'll see there's two things to really set up. There's the template and there's the settings for the automation on the whole. So let's jump into the fun thing, which is the template for these boards. When you're creating a template, you'll see that there are already some stock things you could have on here. So you can say, happy first anniversary, first name, last name. You can set a default background for all boards that are being created as part of this automation. And you can also have some stock messaging on here as well, in case you want some messages to come from the company, or maybe you want, a video from your CEO. You already have a favorite gift that you want added to all these boards. You can always add posts on here. And that just helps get things started. So when these boards are being created, there's already some meat on the bone here, and people can start adding their messages as well from the individual. In advanced settings, you'll see there's lots of options. My favorite one is the effect when new boards are being created. So when someone opens up the board, you'll see that there's some things that can pop up here, like balloons. This would be a good one for the birthday. And then, maybe like fireworks for an anniversary. There's a bunch of small tidbits on here too. You can add a message when it's being delivered, things like that. And if you wanted to have another level of engagement, you could also do likes and comments for the post level, things like that. So yeah, that's a bit about the automations template on the whole. And then on the settings for the automations, let's jump into that quickly. You could see here that you can assign these boards to the manager. So, it doesn't have to just fall on one person on the team to actually manage all these boards. It can be distributed, and help people stay a little more engaged. If there's anyone you ever want to exclude a part of an automation, you absolutely can. So if like, hey, my colleague John doesn't love having their birthday celebrated, you can always exclude them on here. And here's where you'll choose, when do you want the board to be created? Do you want it to be created 2 weeks before a colleague's birthday, 4 weeks, 1 week, whatever makes sense for your team. And then you can also choose board delivery time, time zone. And then one thing to note too is, like, for dispersed teams, when these boards are automatically created, the person managing the board, so your manager or yourself, you can change the delivery time. So if you set it for CST or Eastern time, you can always change that to like the person's actual location, just so you all know. And one thing to note here is, when the boards are automatically created, some emails will be sent. If no posts have been added, we'll remind your manager, hey, maybe it's time to start inviting your colleagues to add to these boards. And of course, the board will also be delivered via email to the employee. You can safeguard it. So let's say a manager potentially, maybe they're on vacation. You can set it so boards aren't delivered to the employee unless they exceed a certain threshold of posts. And then click save. and you'll save the settings on here. And if you are doing things like segmenting automations for specific occasions, you can also import settings from different anniversaries here. So you don't have to go to every individual one and set it the same.
All right, we're just about at time. So Julio, I'm going to jump in here so we can do our gift card drawing for the end here. So thank you so much, Julio, for sharing all of that. And sorry to jump in quickly there. But Amy's going to announce our 3 gift card winners. So drum roll, please.
Yes, hello everybody. It's me again. All right, so our 3 lucky winners are, I'm gonna pull up the participation list here, and I'll try to be fair, top, middle, end of the list. I know this list is alphabetical, so I'll try to be as random as possible. Let's see, our first winner is going to be Eric Greer, and I'm gonna write these down really quick. Second winner is going to be Melissa Tran. Congratulations. And our final winner will be, let's see, who's it gonna be? Victoria Wilson. So congratulations to you all. Thanks so much for sticking with us. I know we're right at the top of the hour here, so I'll pass it off to Hope to wrap things up.
Yes, thank you all for joining us. We just put the link in the chat also for our gratitude Kudo board. So feel free to add a post there of what you're grateful for this year at the end of the year. And at the end of the week, we will select one winner from that board who will win a $75 gift card. So please check it out with that link in the chat. And thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. We would love to hear from you.